Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weirdly Cosmic podcast. And Jupiter is heading back into his domicile, the sign that he rules, Pisces. And so I'm recording this on October the 27th, overnight tonight in the early hours of the morning, mountain time where I am, but overnight for most of us. Jupiter will regress into Pisces until December the 21st. And I think we need to be making the most of this. Now, Jupiter is in domicile in Pisces. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, but we've also had Neptune in Pisces since 2012. And even though Jupiter and Neptune will not actually meet again, they're both such vast energies that the fact that Jupiter is going back into Pisces and Jupiter and Neptune is at 23 degrees right now, Pisces. They're both in that last 10 degrees of the sign. And in fact, the whole zodiac is going to make this really an intense period. Now, just to give you a couple of dates, we did have the actual Jupiter, Neptune conjunction back on April the 12th. So the period around from the end of March to the middle of May was the last time that Jupiter was heading through Pisces, and then they actually joined together on April the 12th. And then what was that date? May the 11th, Jupiter moved into Aries, and he's been in Aries ever since, and then stationed retrograde and is moving back into Pisces tonight. Now, it's been all too short a journey with Jupiter in Pisces. You know, the two last met in 1856 in that sign, but Jupiter goes through Pisces every 12 years. And this time has been particularly a quick move because he moved into Pisces, went retrograde back into Aquarius, then moved back into Pisces, moved really quickly through Pisces into Aries, and now we get this short period while he's back in his domicile. Unfortunately for us, it's through the eclipses, pretty much. He moves in tonight, early on October the 28th, so 28th for most people. And we have a huge blood red moon eclipse coming on November the 8th. I've already done a podcast for that, so you can check the video. And I will be doing an all signs forecast for that eclipse too, but I'm going to do all signs here for Jupiter in Pisces. So with Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, things are going to get very confusing, very emotional, but also very magical, very creative. It's kind of like this big chaotic soup of creation, if you like. But I want to show you the chart very quickly. Okay, now I've actually moved it to November the 10th when Venus comes up and actually is pretty much exactly trine to Neptune. I moved it just past that date because this watery ground trine is really building right now. We've got the eclipse building, and that's going to be at 16 degrees Taurus to Scorpio, with the sun at 16 Scorpio, and Mercury, Cazimi, the sun, and Venus just past it as well. So as we approach the second eclipse, the blood red moon eclipse, this water grand trine is going to get immense. But it's really kind of a building already, because as I said, Jupiter and Neptune are both really vast energies. All right. So we've got in Pisces, we have Jupiter back into Pisces. He's going to go back to 28 degrees, and then Neptune. And then we have Nessus, which is one of the centaurs, who's the buck stops here. Then we have Juno, who is our Hieros Gamos, or partnership asteroid. And Juno is really about the rights of women and children. She's about our interconnectedness in Pisces, in my opinion. You know, the sign of Pisces is really the collective kind of unconscious. And Juno is about all kinds of partnerships. So in the sign of Pisces, she really feels how we're connected to each other and to all that is. Then we have all the Scorpio party over here. I left Circe in there. So we have the South Node, Circe, the sorceress, the alchemist, the sun, our core, Mercury, our mind, and Venus, our heart. And so that's all pretty much the most personal energies are in Scorpio, and the moon will keep dipping out and in and out of that. At the other end of this watery grand trine that's really going to take us right through this period, particularly through to the middle of November, is Black Moon Lilith and Pallas Athena. So Black Moon Lilith is the original female. She's the ragey, wild woman who refused to kind of submit to the masculine. She was shamed and she feels shame. She's kind of that real raw divine feminine energy that refuses to be anything other than equal, completely equal. And Pallas Athena, she was Jupiter's daughter, so how appropriate. She was birthed from his head, and she was also very independent. She was grey, steely-eyed. She was a warrior goddess with who carried the Gorgon's head, on Medusa's head, on her shield. And even though she was a wise strategist and represents creative intelligence, she could also kind of kill with the look of her eye, basically, and her shield. She was definitely kind of a very much of a warrior female. And I was trying to think of some famous female warriors, and since COVID, sometimes the words are on the tip of my tongue. Amazons, that's it. She was kind of an Amazon, really. Very strong, very powerful, very strategic, very wise. She is actually the cosmic owl, and that's why my business is called Cosmic Owl Astrology, because Pallas Athena is exactly conjunct Jupiter, which is my ruling planet. So I have father-daughter in my chart, but that's aside. Other things in the chart for this are that really this this watery grand trine is making a kite. We don't have the sextiles in there yet, but again, these are such vast energies that they're pointing at Pluto, and Pluto is finishing his journey in Capricorn. He's mopping up those last degrees as he moves into Aquarius next year, and then will retrograde back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn a couple of times. But this is kind of the outlet, the focal point, the big transformations that we're going through. So if you kind of think about it, all this watery energy is flooding and washing away and cleansing and purging what we don't need. And Pluto is also digging up the corruption, and the water is kind of washing it away. Now, at a more mundane level, we're probably going to have literal floods. I have to say, I believe Malaysia has floods already, because this is really oceanic, watery energy. We're going to have floods of emotion, floods of creativity too, and floods of intuition. Our intuition is going to be through the chart, and faith is also another another word I would use. Faith and belief is going to be tested, and we are being asked to have faith and belief with all of this going on. One other thing I've left in here is that Jupiter is in a sextile to Sedna. And he kind of stations here because he stations at 28 degrees, and Sedna is about big cycles of climate change and grief and loss, and she's the goddess of the oceans. So this kind of is adding to the flooding potential. I do think that we may see some big watery events, and that, you know, there'll be talk of like sea level rises and so on and so forth. I also did want to mention that Jupiter will station direct on November the 23rd and Neptune on December the 3rd. So that's only what 10 days apart. They will station direct, and that's likely to be like a big tidal wave of turning direction after the eclipses. So interesting times. There will be a lot of magic available too, though, with, you know, Jupiter is a benefic, and we've got Venus over here, even though Venus is in her detriment in Scorpio. They are an aspect to each other and kind of working together. It's the kind of energy where we can really create some magic, or choose to find our magic, I must say. Okay, so other things I wanted to say quickly. One last thing, and then we're going to go on to all signs. And I might actually pull you a couple of cards, seeing as, you know, I wrote the book on tarot and astrology, so I should be pulling some cards on these. But very quickly, I do want to say that Jupiter and Pisces, Jupiter and Neptune are in the last decan or decan of Pisces and of the zodiac. And that is a Scorpio decan, which is Mars and Pluto ruled, if you use the traditional and modern rulers of the zodiac. And 2 days after Jupiter ingresses back into Aries, Mars stations retrograde. Mars, the ruler of the decan where Jupiter is. So that's yet another turn of direction, another kind of tidal wave. And with Mars in Gemini, this could be a tidal wave of direction around our voice, our ideas, and how we communicate with each other. So it's going to be an interesting time, especially happening with the eclipses as well. But we've only got till December the 21st, and Jupiter leaves Pisces for the last time for 12 years. So even though these times are challenging, and even though with Neptune there, it may all seem very confusing and very nebulous, it's really a time to meditate, to do shamanic journey work, to spend time in nature, to pay attention to your dreams, to do morning pages from the Artist's Way. If you don't know what they are, Google Julia Cameron morning pages. She does a great little video. She wrote the Artist's Way, and it's one of her basic tools. But basically, it's 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing. So intuitive art is another way to get really in touch with your intuition during this time. I'm recording this on October the 27th, and we've literally got till December the 21st to kind of make the most of this spiritual upgrade, if you like, this real kind of connection with mediumship as well. And, you know, who knows what might come during this massive time, especially with it being in this watery grand trine. So I'm going to stop the share for a moment, then I'm just going to pull you a card or two, and then we're going to do all signs for this really quite big and momentous occasion. I actually kind of think this period with Jupiter in, even though Jupiter and Neptune don't meet as they did in April, Jupiter was moving so fast at that point. At this point, he's moving in and slowing down to station retrograde. And he's kind of getting in the zone. He's only going to go 2 degrees back in and then stall to a halt, which will make him very powerful. So I actually think this last period in this is very important. That's funny. Getting almost all water. Okay, so this is the Knight of Coins. And he is the manifester. You know, he is able to, Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Coins, he is able to manifest his dreams. So there is the potential and possibility for you to really tune in and focus on manifestation during this period. and don't focus on what's going out there in the world. This is the second card, kind of a warning. Gratitude is really important in this time. The Five of Coins is not seeing the abundance that at the back there. This is Mercury in Taurus. This is our mind in Taurus, about our values. And we have the North Node in Taurus. And this card is kind of indicating this feeling of lack, but by not noticing that's in the background that you already have. So it's a good time to do gratitude lists as well through this period. And then the last card, kind of the outcome really, I'm going to say for this, is Moon in Gemini. This is able to create the vision. This is, Sagittarius is the seeker, the wanderer with an O and an A. Jupiter also rules the sign of Sagittarius. So it's really time to dream and vision what you want to create through this period, through this short 8-week period. Powerful time. Okay, so I'm going to get the chart up again and just get my notes. All right, so here we are. I've taken out a lot of things that don't really affect this chart at all, just for a bit of clarity, and I'm going to leave it around this date, but really for what I'm reading, this whole period is where Jupiter is going to be for this 8-week period coming up. All right, so for Aries, for you, it's the 12th house. This is your unconscious. This is creative, intuitive states. This is about magic, mystery, and mysticism, and connection to transpersonal knowledge. It's also about secluded places. And I would really make sure, Aries, that you kind of cool your go-get-em jets for a while and make sure that you are spending some time alone in seclusion. Even if it's kind of going for walks alone daily in nature, and I mean like really alone, and listening to nature itself, and really tuning in to that inner voice. This is a time for you to do that, Aries. Okay, so Taurus. For you, Taurus, this is happening in your 11th house. And I'm not going to go through the other houses, but if you look at your chart, and by the way, this is for rising signs and sun signs. If you know your rising sign, listen to that and listen to the sun sign. But you can look at the other houses too, if you like, if you know your astrology, but let's keep it simple. So for you, this is about your community, groups, organizations, causes, social consciousness, even politics, also about hopes and wishes for the future in the 11th house. So it's really kind of about time to dream about, what kind of groups or causes do you want to be involved with? What do you want to create with groups and causes? What do you how do you want to connect at a more kind of loving, intuitive level with groups of friends? That's your focus for this 8-week period, Taurus. Okay. Gemini, you're in the 10th house. So this is your public self, your reputation, how you are seen in the world. It can be your nature of your career if you're lucky to have them matching up, but really it's about your visibility in the world and your mission in life. And, you are desiring to kind of be this big universal love person. People are going to see you as this amazing kind of ethereal, real love magnet, I'm going to say, but I'm talking in the terms of universal love, agape type of love. People are going to be very drawn to you during this time. And I think it's time for you to really kind of think about consciously showing love publicly to people, showering, if you like, people with love. Okay. Cancer. It's right, Cancer. Cancer, this is for you. This is in a very Jupiterian house up here. So this is about higher sources of expansion and inspiration. It would be a great time to do mushrooms or something like that if you're into that kind of thing. But also, you know, anything where you can experience the divine or experience other cultures and feel the magic in the world. This is a real time for you to tune into what your personal beliefs are, and that means kind of culturally and regarding the divine and things like that. So it's a good time to spend a lot of time in prayerfulness, I'm going to call it, but I'm not necessarily speaking in the traditional sense of the word. It's really a good time to I don't know, say go to some sacred place, whether it be a native and indigenous sacred place, or a kind of a vortex in Sedona if you live in the United States, or Glastonbury maybe if you live in the UK, and just kind of soak up the energies and feel what messages you get and how it's going to inform your faith and belief moving forward. So that's you. Leo. Leo, this is intimacy, bonded relationships of the emotional, psychological, and sexual kind. This is the realm of the deep psyche or the taboo and underlying kind of reality. You're going to be very connected with what lies beneath, with the shadow, with the deepest, and you're going to have this almost mystical connection with those that you are in deeply bonded relationships with. So if you're in a partnership or if you're seeking a partnership, this is probably going to be quite a magical time for you in your sex life. But if you're not, or if you want that as well, it's also a time to really connect with kind of the tarot, for example, or the deeper psychological regions, or the realms of magic as well. So wonderful for you as well. Who's next? Virgo. Virgo, this is in your significant relationship house. So it's about all significant others. You'll be feeling this more kind of mystical connection. You may be a little bit attracted to kind of the lost souls in this period. You may be seeking to help them and compromising your own spiritual connection to give to others. But really, you are going to feel very connected with others. You're going to feel this very deep and intuitive connection with all significant people in your life during this period. Libra. For you, this is the 6th house. This is the 6th house of work and service. It's the nature of work you do and your day-to-day work experience, your style of daily living, but it's also your relationship to service and mentoring. And there's a bit about health and pets in this region of the chart as well. So, you know, you're going to be feeling this very mystical connection with that, but you may also feel some confusion about health matters, or you may feel like it's you've kind of lost a little bit of faith in the work that you're doing, and you need to find and tune in to what makes you feel useful, really. Okay, so that's what makes you feel useful in your daily life. That's a good thing to tune into for this 8 weeks for you. All right. Scorpio. Scorpio, this is the 5th house for you. This is creative self-expression. This is your performing ability. This is sports, pleasure, leisure, hobbies, play and romance. Just magical. This is where you could pursue an art class or pursue some kind of drama or something that just makes you feel floaty and magical and wonderful. whatever floats your boat, just get out there and have some fun and just kind of be the goddess or god of fun and light. Okay, that, you know, really, Scorpio doesn't always find it easy to be that way, but Scorpio, be fun and light for this period, or consciously choose to be fun and light. Okay, Sagittarius. So this is your ruling planet, Jupiter. So wherever Jupiter is, you definitely always feel, you know, very connected, but this is your home. So this is the nature of your inner private life, and the time it's the actual home basis of security. It can be a family of origin too, and one of the parents. But there's an almost mystical connection and a real kind of loved up feeling around this area. You might just want to create some more floaty kind of atmosphere in your home. You may also want to spend a lot of time in your home, kind of doing meditation, taking long baths. The next 8 weeks, really, you might just want to kind of float around your home a lot and make it look pretty, and think about what you want in your home in the future and what you want to let go of. So Capricorn. So for Capricorn, this for you is this third house. This is communication and the voice, what you think and talk about, your learning style. And it can be siblings also to a degree. But this is going to be a real focus of expansion for you, expanding your voice, expanding how you speak about magical, mysterious subjects, and higher love kind of energy. So you may do a lot of speaking about that, or at least thinking about it, or even learning. You know, you may take a meditation course or something. You may want to expand your ability to meditate more under this period. Yeah, that's it. So second house for you, Aquarius. So this is your resources. So you earn your money, but it's also your self-worth and your self-confidence, because after all, how can you earn money if you're not feeling very self-confident? This is going to expand. You're going to feel like, to go back to the fifth house that I talked about, you're going to feel like, if I become like this shimmering kind of ethereal creature, and people are going to be attracted to me. I'm going to shower love on people, and it's all going to come back to me, and it's going to bring me abundance. So this is in the area of life that's going to expand for you with Jupiter in this period, this next 8 weeks. And last and not least, Pisces. I try not to always put Pisces last, but this time I did. So for you, this is your personality. This is how others see you initially. It's your natural style, your appearance. I think I could see you, Pisces, coming into your own. It's all about you. You're going to be in your element. You're just going to be this shimmering, fairy, ethereal figure. And people are just going to go, oh, I love this person. This is wonderful. You might want to start wearing floaty clothes, but there's definitely expansion of your presence and how people see you. They're going to kind of see you as the magical creature that you truly are, okay, through this period. So that was just a quick video about this 8-week period that I think is really important. It's going to be a confusing period because it's got the eclipses and 3 planets changing direction as well. First Mars, then Jupiter itself, then Neptune. But and it's going to feel a lot like tidal waves, shifting sands and things like that. But it's a time to really surrender and go with the flow and just think, what do I want to create? It's an ideal time to just get out the paintbrush and just do some intuitive art about what you want your world to look like. Because Jupiter is expansion and growth and luck in all areas. And especially after he turns direct at the end of November, November the 23rd, that last month, where Jupiter is in Pisces, is going to be full steam ahead for expansion, and we'll be past the eclipses at that point. So make the most of these 8 weeks and really enjoy them, and Jupiter's blessings to you.